So let's get started with the owner portrait. This project in Photoshop will have us cut out our image of our owner, put it in front of our logo, and then add a drop shadow. So we're going to start today with a new 8x10. And we want it to be portrait. From here, I'm going to open my photo of my cutout. Go out to the S drive in the 8th grade computers folder and find a folder called Mugs. In there, view all the pictures. Make sure you're just opening your picture. Mine's here at the end. And we're going to use the pen tool to select this. Now, up at the top, you'll see you have two files open. We'll be taking this picture and copying and pasting it over. You can use Control+ on your keyboard to zoom in, and then grab your pen tool and work around the outside. I like to move from the bottom up, and I like to move in a clockwise direction, clicking and dragging in the direction that I'm going. So you go around the outside, get as close as you want, take your time, and do a really good job removing yourself. This picture's on a white background, so that helps a little bit because as I cut it out, I'm going to be putting it onto a white document. It'll leave me a little bit of leeway, but I want to make sure I do as good a job as possible making smooth curves, going around the outside, selecting. You get to features like your face and your hair. It's probably a good time to zoom in. Take a little bit more time as you go around the outside, especially things like the ears. So you click and drag. Come around the top, a little clicking for me from my hair. If you have smooth hair, you can click and drag. If you have spiky hair, using a lot of clicks generally does a better job so you don't end up making like a helmet out of your hair. Some detail in there. I'm going to zoom back out with Control-, and come around the outside. Click in that corner. As we go around, speed this up so you can see how this is going to end up. In this assignment, we'll be selecting this and copying it and then putting it onto our other document. And then we'll make some adjustments from there. Alright, come back to the very beginning and click on your first point. You can see I have a path going around the outside. I'll press Control-Enter to select. A little trick here is if you want to smooth that out, if you go up to the Select menu and go to Modify and say Contract, bring it in about 2 pixels. And then go back up to Select, Modify, and say Feather, and do a feather of 1. That will just soften your edge a little bit. You don't have to do that, but it'll give you a better quality cutout when you're done. I'm going to hit Control-C on my keyboard to copy. I could also go up to Edit and choose Copy right here. And then back here on my tabs, going back to my original 8x10, Control-V or Edit Paste. Now you're going to see that I'm larger than I need to be, so I will resize by transforming, pressing Control key on my keyboard. Make sure that I hold down the Shift key as I drag the corner. I want my full body represented in here. Of course, you can always make it different. As you need, press Enter to save that. Now to bring in my logo, I will go File and say Place. I'll do Place Embedded. I'm going to find my logo. Mine is saved out in my Computer Apps folder under my H drive. I'm calling my restaurant the Proud Peacock. You can use your Adobe Illustrator file because you're working in Photoshop. It's going to ask it if I want to open it as a smart object. That's just fine. And there's my logo. I want that to sit behind my shoulder. I will hold down my Shift key and scale that down just a little bit here. Press Enter to keep it. Of course, to put it below my shoulder, I will go over to my Layers panel and drag that below my cutout layer. We're going to add a bit of a shadow to ourselves, and we have a quick way to do that. Choosing my layer here, to select just the pixels that are in my layer, I will hold down my Control key and click on the thumbnail, that's the little picture next to my layer. That will select me. Make sure we're going to go down now and choose New Layer. Grab my paint bucket, which might be underneath my gradient tool. Choose black. And I'm going to paint that. If you start painting this and it's only painting little pieces, you might not have made a new layer. So make sure you make a new layer to do that. Control D to deselect. To turn that into my shadow, I will go up to Edit and Transform. And I want to start laying that down using Distort, Skew, Perspective. Use what you think will work good for you, but we're making a shadow, so we want to lay that down on the ground. It's going to come out from my shoes, something like that. Press Enter. And I want to fade that out, so I will add a layer mask onto my shadow layer. Going back to my paint bucket, flying it out, and using the gradient tool. Click and drag. Fade that out. And then you might want to turn the opacity down a little bit on that. Move that layer below by dragging your other layer up to the top, and save that as your owner portrait. Good luck!